Item number 6, Mr. Reardon, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I move that Resolution 2008-144, official intent to be reimbursed for certain capital expenditures, be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Felix.
Mayor, members of council, this is a standard resolution that we do anytime we need to purchase an item before we have the financing in place. In this case, we're looking at a new public safety software system, hardware, and Spielman package. The specifics of everything it can do is something more left to the police department. Needless to say, our current system, they are going to stop maintaining it in 6 months. We could continue along, but if there's any problems after that, we would get no support. The manufacturer wishes us to go backwards a step, which to their prior version, which in everybody's mind here is a step backwards, require additional training. The Spielman company has given us an excellent offer to get it on their books by the end of their fiscal year. So if we act and get this in place by the end of their fiscal year, we were going to get about $500,000 off their price, plus some of the hardware thrown in for free. It's a great advantage. It's a package that the police department definitely likes. The fire department has also reviewed it. They are looking forward to it. It is the package the state court system runs on and the county runs on. It will allow us hopefully in the future to take that step towards a joint dispatch that the council's been interested in for many years. Ideally, at the end of the year, if we have enough cash on hand and the state's financial situation does not continue on in the path it has, I would like to cash this item out. In case it is not any better situation and the state shared revenues track downward, we are putting this just as an insurance in place so that we can finance it if we do not have the cash available. The down payment would come from the currently budgeted maintenance contract on the HTE system. That equals about the 10% down payment that we would need to finance this. I'll be happy to answer any other questions either on regulations or the package, and both Mr. Deputy Chief Alinen and Chief Redman are here. They can answer any specific software packages you may have.
Mr. Bertucci.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Mueller, members of the council, we do feel it is important to proceed with the purchase of this system this fiscal year, and not only because of the price break we're getting, but because of the advantages in terms of being able to communicate better with the state and county who have similar systems, and it appears that the state is all moving in this particular direction. Just want to clarify for your knowledge that this item was not in the current year's budget, so it is an add-on to the current year's budget, and we believe, as Mr. Felix pointed out, that we can cash this out by the end of the year, but in the event that we cannot, we will have the flexibility to finance it. Again, the state budget situation is of primary concern to my office right now going into next year's budget, and I'm afraid if we do not act this year, we may not be able to for a few years, and I think it's that important to move forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bertucci. Questions for either presenter? Seeing no questions, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Unanimous. I know I've been saying unanimous a lot up here. I just want to let the folks out there at home and folks here know that we have on many of these subjects had multiple meetings and multiple work sessions and discussions, and so we on the council are very up to speed on why we're acting, and that's why you don't see a lot of discussion, because most of the issues have been worked out ahead of time in a public meeting. Next item is item number 7. Mr. Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I move that ordinance 2008-017, City Code Chapter 95, Stormwater Pollution Prevention, be approved.
Second. Moved and seconded. Staff presentation, Mr. Hayward, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Mueller, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen, this is the final step to bring about the adoption of Chapter 95 to the City Code, which will address stormwater pollution prevention. As we talked about back in August when this came to you for the 30-day review period, this entire effort began back in the early 1970s with the adoption of the U.S. Clean Water Act, the first portion of which, Phase 1, dealt with point source polluters, large industries and factories and all that were directly polluting waters in the U.S. The second phase of that began to address non-point source polluters, water, something that may be dumped, for example, in a street here or on a property and eventually work its way into the waters of the U.S., which in our case would be the washes around our community. In 2003, the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, with the authorization for EPA, designated a number of communities across the state, Sierra Vista being one of them, as MS4 communities. And so we then began to work on, the council adopted a 5-year plan to begin to implement the MS4 program, the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System program, within the city. We are now at the point that we have completed basically almost everything in that 5-year plan except this ordinance, and ADEQ has turned over full responsibility to the city to implement the MS4 effort within our community and to address any MS4 violations. And so this ordinance basically is geared towards any violations that may come along. Obviously, one of the big areas, as we talked about again in August, that may be addressed under this program is construction sites, and we work very closely with SACA in the preparation of this. And you may remember in August that Mr. Michael Serapania from SACA, who headed up their stormwater subcommittee, came and expressed SACA's support for this ordinance. As indicated, I think it was your August 14th meeting, this appeared for a 30-day public review. Obviously, we've exceeded that period, but during that time, we have received no additional comments except one small one from the city attorney, which is basically a Scrivener's one to switch where the word enable was in the sentence. And so it is ready this evening for adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Harewick. Any questions? Discussion? I just want to make a comment here, Mr. Harewick. I want to thank you and your staff. I think you meant, if I didn't hear it, I think you meant to say that there hasn't been any public comment in the last 30 days on this item. And I think that's a credit to the fact that very early you and your staff attacked this issue, worked with those persons that would and businesses that would be affected most drastically by this new regulation, and got everybody on board and worked out a reasonable solution to enforcement of clean water, which is one thing we all want. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So with that, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Unanimous. Next item is item number 8. Mrs. Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I move that Resolution 2008-145, authorization to accept Arizona Department of Homeland Security grant funding, be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Chief? Deputy Chief Alinen? Hopefully the chief told you were going to have to talk to this tonight.
No, he didn't.
Oh.
Basically, we put in for a grant for a new radio tower, and it was approximately, I think, just at $300,000 for this project. We want to place it towards the southeast end of town. We've been working with the school district looking at the bus barn as a possible location. The reason we want to do that is to increase our data range on our mobile data computers for police and fire. We're having some problems in that area at the southeast end of town, and this will correct that. Our admin analyst, Gary Smith, put together a grant, submitted it, and it was accepted by the state.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Any questions for Deputy Chief Campbell or Deputy Chief Alinen? I think Ken owes you one.
Yeah, he does.
Okay. All those in favor? Approved unanimously. Thank you, Deputy Chief.